Hi, Caleb and Steve with Brownells here. Today we're going to be talking about reloading, where to start, and the importance of starting with a good reloading manual. Steve?
Exactly. The manual is where everything starts. Even before you buy your equipment, you should have your hands on a manual and be looking at it. You need to get an idea of what you're getting into. Reloading is not that straightforward. It's very labor and equipment intensive. There's a lot of things going on that you have to take into consideration, and this is, for all intents and purposes, your Bible when it comes to reloading. The reason is it's got information in it that was developed in a laboratory under controlled conditions. These loads were developed by people that know what pressure was developed, and that knowledge there keeps your gun from blowing up. So I keep my manual very handy on the reloading bench, and that's always my starting point. It may not always be a load out of the manual, but it's going to be close. And that's my basis for development on any load.
Yeah, another good point I'd like to make too, and I'll pull from personal experience. Before I ever bought any reloading equipment, I bought the Lyman reloading manual. Mm-hmm. And reloading manuals don't just have the actual load developments in them, but in the front, they go through the entire process of reloading and go through all the basics of how to do it. So that's another really important reason to get the manual first. Read through that. A lot of that stuff in the front can be brand specific depending on what manual you're using, so be aware of that, but it's still a great place to start.
Right, and along with the manual, study the instructions that come with your reloading dies, because some of them are a little bit different, and setting up your seater to crimp and seat at the same time, it's a little bit of a process there, I guess.
It certainly can be. A lot of trial and error goes into it, but the manual will help you cut down on that and get close to where you need to be in the beginning.
And the manual is only, it'll work differently in different guns. For example, the most accurate load in the manual may not be the most accurate in your gun. That's just the way it works. All guns are individuals.
Yep, and you can have two guns that came off the assembly line back to back, and they're still going to shoot different with, the same load. So it all comes down to what works for your firearm. Right,
and if you find a really good load online in the forum somewhere, check it out in a manual to see if there's something close in that ballpark that is reasonably sane. Because there's guys out there loading stuff that really I wouldn't put in my gun. Manuals get a bad rap for being way too conservative these days, but there's a good reason for that too. When they give you loading data, say for a .357 Magnum, they have to assume that you're going to put it in the smallest J-frame style gun that you can find. The smallest, lightest gun possible. And it's got to work in that gun without blowing it up. If you're shooting a big N-frame type Smith Wesson, a Model 27 or something, obviously it'll take a little more pressure, but then you're on your own.
Yeah, and there's been too many times where I've, seen or heard stories of, one guy developed a hunting load for his rifle, gives that load data over to his buddy loads the exact same load data and blows up his gun.
Yeah.
So it's...
Right. In rifles, all chambers are not equal.
Yep.
Somebody might have more free bore than the next rifle, so one load that's safe in this gun causes significant problems in a gun that does not have as much free bore to relieve that pressure.
So read the manual, understand the terminologies, start with a good understanding of internal ballistics first and go on from there. You have anything you want to add, Steve?
Yeah, one thing is be very careful substituting components. If they use a specific case, primer, or bullet, try to stick with that. If you have a substitution, back off on your charges to that starting load, work your way up. If you can get a chronograph to verify what you're getting out of these loads and see that you're on track with the manual for the powder charge, getting that same velocity, that is a real big help. That keeps you out of trouble a lot of times.
Yeah, and if you have anything you'd like to add, feel free to leave us a comment down below. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to give us a call on the tech line. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.